onwards. So your recording is started, Prabhuji. Please go ahead and record the call.
Can you allow me to share the screen? I can share this one.
Yes.
Words.
Just a minute.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiti Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaham. We are reading from the verse 7th canto, verse number chapter number 13, entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person, verse number 45. Savatma vrittam maitam te. Please repeat. Savatma vrittam maitam
Just a
te.
minute. I need to.
Suguttam api varnitam.
Suttam ati varnitam.
Apetam loka shastrabhyam.
Apetam loka shastratyam.
Vanhi bhagavata para.
Vanhi bhagavata para.
Savatma vrittam maitam te.
Svatma prittam mayattham te.
Sugutam api varnitam.
Sugutam api varnitam.
Apetam loka shastrebhyam.
Apetam loka shastrabhyam.
Bhavan hi bhagavata para.
Vanhi bhagavata paraha.
Okay, we'll recite the word-to-word meaning and translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Savatma Vrittam, the information of the history of self-realization. Maya, by me. Ittamam, in this way. Te, onto you. Sugutam, extremely confidential. Api, although. Varnitam, explain. Vyapatam, without. Lokashastrabhyam, the opinion of the common man or common literatures. Bhavan, your good self. He, in need. Bhagavatapara, having fully realized the personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj, you are certainly self-realized soul and a devotee of Supreme Lord. You do not care for public opinion or so-called scriptures. For this reason, I have described to you without hesitation the history of my self-realization. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. A person is actually a devotee of Krishna, does not care about so-called public opinion or Vedic or philosophical literatures. Prahlad Maharaj, who is such a devotee, always defied the false instructions of his father and the so-called teachers who were appointed to teach him. Instead, he simply followed the instructions of Narad Muni, his guru, and thus he always remained a stalwart devotee. This is the nature of an intelligent devotee. The Srimad Bhagavatam instructs, Yagne Sankirtana Praya Yadanti Hi Sumedasha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. One who is actually very intelligent must join the Krishna conscious movement, realizing his own self as an external devotee, external servant of Krishna, and thus practice constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमपरायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतिचे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today I'm very fortunate to be with all of you through the online association. So we are reading. I seek the blessings of my spiritual master and all the devotees assembled, so that I speak something appropriate from Srimad Bhagvatam and whatever I've heard from my gurus and different devotees who are coming in disciplic succession. Hare Krishna. So this section of Srimad Bhagavatam is a very wonderful section, starting from the seventh canto. Seventh canto speaks about the great story of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu, and it starts with one important theme or one thing. If we see, Yudhishthir Maharaj asking this question, that how is Krishna apparently very partial towards his devotees, and then explaining about this. It starts with the first chapter discussing about Shishupal's, that Krishna was not partial towards Shishupal, and to explain how he's not partial towards any living entity. Sukdev Goswami is explaining about the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. So this is the section which is wonderfully exhibiting the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. And here in this chapter, if we come to this chapter, there are like very beautiful description of how Hiranyakashipu was trying to torture Prahlad Maharaj, and Prahlad Maharaj somehow successfully passes all the tests put forward by Hiranyakashipu, and with his love and devotion towards the Supreme Lord and his remembrance, how he exhibits such a wonderful quality towards Lord Narsimadev, that Narsimadev eventually had to come and protect Hiranyakashipu. Protect Prahlad Maharaj from Hiranyakashipu. So here in this chapter, there is a description of this is the conversation between Narad Muni and Prahlad Maharaj, and the description goes the behavior of a perfect person. If we just go through the chapter, the chapter describes very beautifully about the qualities of a sannyasi are described in the first or 10 verses, describing what is the conduct of a sannyasi, what should be the consciousness of a sannyasi, and the other qualities of sannyasi. These are described in this thing, and then Prahlad Maharaj, he goes on to the forest, and there he finds a very special person lying lying in the forest, and as a Brahman, Avdut Brahmana, he meets an Avdut Brahmana. And while meeting this Avdut Brahmana, he sees that his condition is very, very different. It's like very challenging to understand that how this person is behaving. He's lying on the ground and just waiting for him. It's like, he's practicing the Ajgar Vitti. You have gone through all these verses. I'm just giving a recap little bit of what has happened. And they have a very beautiful conversation. This is the conversation what we are reading. It's the conversation between Avdut Brahman and Prahlad Maharaj. And Avdut Brahman is explaining his realizations when Prahlad Maharaj understands that this person who is lying on the ground waiting for the Lord to nourish him, and he's exhibiting the qualities of Ajgar Vritti. Not like a python, he's just covered in dust, feeding himself like a python. So he understands that he's a very great personality. And the Prahlad Maharaj asked different questions to him. How do you work to earn your livelihood? But you have a very stouted body, but and you're covered in dust and everything like that. Then how is it that you're getting such nourishment? And you're growing in size. You're become like a fat person. So how is it happening? So the Brahmana glorifies Prahlad Maharaj for his spiritual vision. This is very wonderful thing, that we don't judge a person externally. externally a person might look in a very different way, but we don't judge a person, we don't judge a person by his externals. So, the same example comes in Chetan Charitamrita also, that Sanatan Goswami, who comes to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of his constant travel uh, from which place that is, where he was kept in the jail. This is near Ganga Sagar. What is that place? Ramkeli. From Ramkeli, he travels all the way to Prayagraj, and that too by foot. And there he meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when he comes, he is like having long hairs. He's having a beard, and because he was in the jail for a long time, for almost an year, he had long hairs and everything like that. And he looked because of his constant travel, he had like shattered clothes and everything like that. So when sends, the devotee to go and fetch that, he tells that, outside, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that Sanatan Goswami has come. So he tells the devotee, that please go and get Sanatan Goswami, please go and get the devotee, a great devotee has come. And then he goes there outside and he finds that there is a beggar who is almost like in a very shattered clothes. He's been seen, and immediately he comes and tells that there is no great devotee, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he tells, no, there is a very wonderful devotee who has just arrived. So he comes and he tells that there is only one beggar actually who is standing there, in a very shattered clothes and everything like that. And immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes out of his seat and comes to the door and receives him. As soon as they meet, he understands that this is none other than Sanatana Goswami. So it's like so wonderful to understand that externally we cannot judge a person. Like here, Prahlad Maharaj is also not judging externally. Externally, when we see, he might be looking in a very different attire, but internally his heart is grown with great love and devotion. Same with Jada Bharat also. Jada Bharat was like a small person who is just going around in the forest, and soldiers find him that we need a palanquin carrier, and immediately he is fetched, because he was a very strong person. He was called and asked to carry the palanquin, not understanding the situation that he's a great sadhu actually, or a great self-realized soul. And when he's taking his steps, he just makes the palanquin tremble actually, because he sees that he cannot step on the ants. And understanding this situation, the king Rahogun, he becomes quite difficult actually for him to handle this situation, and he again and again scolds this person. So, and understanding that this is and does not have a spiritual vision to see this person. Immediately we understand, as soon as he spoke first verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, he understands that he's a very great personality. Immediately Rahogun actually get down of his palanquin and pays obeisances, that I have committed great offense at your lotus feet. Because when we judge people by their external behavior, external appearance, then it's very challenging. And this chapter actually teaches the same thing, that we cannot, one of the lessons what has been taught here is that you know we cannot judge a person by his external appearances. Sometimes in our congregation, or in our meetings or Sunday feast also, we find some people coming with the external attire which is very non-fitting for a Vaishnava attire, and we may judge that person, and that, oh, he's like this or he's like this, appearing to be too westernized, or too something like, or not wearing at proper clothes at the proper time. But we don't understand sometimes the situation what they are going in, or what they are in, or why they have come in that appearance or something like that. So it's good always to give the benefit of doubt. That is always a very safe side for a devotee, that he always gives a benefit of doubt to the devotees whenever they appear like that. Okay, and then the conversation goes between Prahlad Maharaj and the Avdut Brahman, and then he explains, few verses. He explains the life cycle of Avdut Brahman also. How is he eating? He's eating very small quantity with, he's not eating anything. In fact, but he's just very self-satisfied actually, and then he's living just on eating some leaves or the grass what has been grown around, and then he's not traveling around. But then the one wonderful thing, he starts speaking his realizations now. And what are his realizations? We understand these are like some of his realizations what he's giving, and this is one of the uh, verse what he's explaining is about that you are certainly a self-realized soul and a devotee of Supreme Lord. You do not care for public opinion or so-called scriptures. For this reason, I have described to you without hesitation. A pure devotee or a person when he is speaking, when he understands that they don't care about the different opinions of other people or other public around, then it becomes very easy for them to speak very easily. Like Prabhupada writes in the purport also, first sentence he writes, a person who is actually a devotee of Krishna does not care about so-called public opinion and Vedic or philosophical literatures. This is something which is so wonderfully exhibited by Srila Prabhupada. Many times he had exhibited this thing. When he was there here in New York, you know, when he was preaching, we had like few cases going on, about the brain, the first case which happened during that time was brainwashing case, which people had accused that the parents have accused that the Hare Krishnas brainwash the children, and then they make them into be with them and chant Hare Krishna and do this other things. But then when this case was presented, it was like a big, it was like a cult. This either this movement is a cult or this movement is Sanatan. It's coming from way long. Coming from proper bona fide sampradaya. So that was a very big thing, and we had a case going on, and Prabhupada presented it very clearly that you should go out and exhibit. You should immediately not caring about the public opinion, what will happen, what others will think. But he told you just give the judge all the books and let the judge decide by himself. He should read every day. He should present different arguments from Srimad Bhagvatam, how we are so bona fide. And then they did that and they won the case eventually. The judge immediately told this is not a cult or anything like that. This is a proper bona fide movement, and this has been accepted very properly. So, pure devotees, they don't care about their behavior or their experiences because they don't care about the public opinion. What public will think about, or what will, if Prabhupada would have started thinking like that, what will the public think? Then it would have been such a great task that going out and doing Hare Krishna mantra, chanting Hare Krishna also would have been a very great thing. What will public think? Whether this is some music performance or something like that. But he never thought that he went to Tompkins Square Park, did Harinam for a long time, sitting at one place, closing his eyes, and that's how it attracted so many of the people to this Hare Krishna movement. So a devotee means he never cares about what will public think. You know uh, public think about this thing. There's one, it doesn't mean that we are not considerate about what we are doing, but we are quite considerate about what we are doing. But at the same time we are very concerned, we are not carried away with the views of the public. So that is something which is very important to understand. There is one shloka in Mukundamala Sutra also, which is very wonderful, and it tells about the same thing that this Kulashekar Maharaj, he speaks very beautifully about this aspect also. I'll just read out that verse once again. Kulashekar Maharaj. Let me find it. Just a second. This is verse number 42. Okay, this verse tells that my mind cannot turn from Sri Krishna's lotus feet, even for a moment, even for a moment. So let my dear ones and other relatives criticize me. My superiors accept or reject me as they like. The common people spread evil gossip about me, and my family's reputation be sullied. For a madman like me, it's an honor. It is honor enough to feel this flood of love of Godhead, which brings such sweet emotions of attraction for my Lord. The purport also is very beautiful in this connection. Prabhupada writes, King Kulashekar again expresses his lack of concern about suffering ill repute due to his intense devotion of Lord Krishna. If devotional service resulted in such criticisms hundreds of years ago in India, then how much more calumny must devotee undergo in modern countries that have no heritage of worshipping at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Therefore, King Kulashekar gives us a realistic warning and assures not to be afraid of criticism. If we are afraid of criticism, then practicing of bhakti is very, very difficult. You know, people will judge, how can you, you are Hare Krishna Bhakt. You don't eat outside, you don't go out for movies, you don't go out for parties, you don't speak anything, which is not required, or, you're like, wearing dhoti kurta, or, always your appearance is different. You wear tilak and other things like that. So it's like always externally people will definitely not be able to understand, but internally a devotee should never be disturbed about this aspect that what will the public think. If public will think many, public, outlet people will think many things, but we are not in this way judging. We are not in this way carried away. We are more concerned about pleasing Krishna. That's what a pure devotee means. He's just ready to please Krishna. He wants to just please Krishna so much that and for this he's ready to do anything and everything. That is like very wonderful. So he wants to follow the instructions of his guru. He wants to please the guru. He wants to please Krishna. Prabhupada writes the same thing in, that Prahlad Maharaj followed the instructions of Narad Muni. In the purport he writes, his guru, and thus he remained an stalwart devotee. So anyone who wants to become a stalwart devotee, yeah, he should not be caring about public opinion. What will people think, or what will my family members think about my practice, Hare Krishna. I remember, when I became a devotee, what had happened, I was like quite young, so my mother and father were okay with what I was chanting and doing and everything like that. But uh, I was like too acted very neophytely. I wanted to put tilak and go around everywhere and wherever I was going, not understanding that this is required or not required. And without my consent of my counselor, I started doing this thing, that wearing tilak, wearing bead bag, and going out. A young boy, small, like around 16, 17 years, doing this thing. And, it's not like practiced properly, it should be represented properly. So when I did this, my parents were so disturbed that, what will people speak about you? Are you Hare Krishna or what? And then my mother became quite sensitive. And in fact, she was like really very angry at one time. And then eventually I understood that I should practice it, being little considerate also, not like if something, some actions of mine is making my parents unhappy, and which will be affecting my bhakti, then I should not be doing that thing. Then I checked with my counselor told, whenever you come to temple, that time you can wear tilak, but when you are going out, you can wear tilak in the morning program when you're chanting your rounds, doing mangal arti at your home. That time you wear tilak, but in the home you can wear it, but don't make a show bottle thing outside. Let people not know that you are Hare Krishna. But then I understood over a period of time when we became sadhus, then we have to definitely follow. And that time I was a student. I wasn't like established very strong devotee. But then after becoming a devotee, when everyone knew about that, I was practicing Hare Krishna over a period of time. My same counselor told, no, now this is the time that you should be proper. You should wear dhoti kurta and go wherever you're going. So it's like it all depends on your faith and how you're representing the movement. Then you can do the things outside in public with a proper opinion. So it's very important that when we are representing it very properly. So this should be also kept in mind. We are not at the pure level devotee like like Prahlad Maharaj or this Avdut Brahman or Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada and others, they were like very stalwart devotee. We are not that level. But when we come to that level, definitely we have to represent the movement. We have to represent it so that it comes in the right eyes of the public. And ours is a preaching movement. If we do it something wrong, then people will not be attracted. People will be taken away from Krishna consciousness. So there is a great responsibility as a devotee, that when we are acting in the public, we act properly, we represent properly. So this is something which I wanted to bring. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport also very nicely that one who is intelligent enough will join this movement of Hare Krishna. Yagne Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Sumedasha. This is the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one who is actually very intelligent must join this Hare Krishna movement. Realizing, actually, yesterday I was, Ram Rai Prabhu here, he was giving the Bhagvatam class, and he remembers very beautiful thing about the same line what has been quoted in Prabhupada's purport. One time, Kadam Kanan Maharaj, when he was giving Bhagavatam class in New York, one of the devotees here asked a very beautiful question, that uh, that how do I see that I'm how should I protect myself from so many offenses I'm committing, and what will happen to me if I keep committing offenses and other things like that. And Kadam Kanan Maharaj told very strong sentence during his talk. During that answering this question, he told, we are in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. One who is intelligent enough, he joins Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And this time is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he will never consider the offenses. If you keep chanting, if you become purified enough by taking shelter of the holy name, then all the anarthas which are there in the heart will be destroyed by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So only an intelligent person will join the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And once he joins the movement with great faith and love, if he executes the process of bhakti by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he will be protected from all the offenses. So that was very beautiful answer given by Kadam Kannan Maharaj. Just to end today's talk, I remember one more example of a devotee not caring about his public opinion, what will happen. He was just ready. He wanted to please a pure devotee, and he acted in a very different way. This is about a person who was very famous in playing tennis, and this person was playing tennis, and he was at the he was at the verge of winning the world title, and he was just last point was there, and he during just playing when he was playing the last point, he noticed that they were like lot of ants which had appeared on the court where he was standing, and he did not wanted to step on those ants, understanding that if I step on those ants, it will not be proper. I'll be killing them, and it will not be pleasing to it will not be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. So he stepped, little bit aside, and as soon as he stepped little bit aside, the commentators and others were judging, why is he standing there? This is the last point. He should be standing at the right place to, to take the serve. And this is like something which is very not proper actually for him to stand like this. And it was like so difficult for people to conceive. And then the serve was served, and then he could not take the serve properly, and he lost the match. And eventually he lost the championship, whatever the championship. In fact, he lost a lot of money in one way because of that one point. But later in his heart, he was telling in one of the talks, he's none other than one of the devotees, Peter Budwash, I think. That is what his name is. And he eventually had met Srila Prabhupada. And he wanted to please Srila Prabhupada, that giving respect to all living entities is required. Though he was externally playing tennis and other things, but internally his heart was connected to Srila Prabhupada and he was resonated with his teachings. So he wanted to please the Srila Prabhupada. And just, he knew that the complete world will be judging him for that small mistake what he has done. But he was not worried about that. But he was more worried about pleasing his spiritual master at that time also. So we can see, if we just care about public opinion, then it's very difficult to please Krishna and his representative. But if we really want to please Krishna and his representative, then we should not be so much worried that what will people say about external things what we are practicing, because we are almost like cutting out, or we generally what we do is our practice of bhakti makes us not to do materialistic things, and as soon as we cut doing the materialistic things out, then people start judging us. So a devotee should not be worried about this. A devotee should be fixed that because of leaving so many things outside, he's doing the best thing by pleasing Srila Prabhupada, pleasing his guru, pleasing Krishna actually. So this is something which should be giving a lot of faith to the devotees. So this is what I wanted to speak about uh, this verse. Now it's almost 8 o'clock. We may just take question and answers for 5 minutes and then we end. Hare Krishna. Do we have some question answers, or should we end here now? It's almost 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for taking your time and explaining very nicely. And simple thing is explaining if we do bhakti, we have to stay away, coming out material activities. And if we think about too much about public opinion, then we cannot do bhakti. It's a simple, but I think it's very powerful message. Thank you for explaining. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for this wonderful class. I wanted to ask you, what is the significance of tilak?
Tilak, oh, we wear tilak. Actually, tilak is a very important part, because we consider this body to be the body given by Krishna. It's like a temple which is given by Krishna. So we decorate our forehead, in fact, we decorate the body with 12 tilaks as prescribed by Srila Prabhupada. And this significance is when we wear tilak, it is for reminding us that we are devotees of Krishna. First is that thing. Second is the tilak, wearing tilak is like, when we wear tilak, the above two lines represent the lotus feet of the Lord. So whenever a devotee is wearing tilak, he is wearing tilak to represent that, these are the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And the tulsi, what we wear, this is called tulsi. And that is tulsi actually, she is a great devotee of the Lord. So we always want to honor tulsi. That's why we wear this tilak actually. So this is one thing, that first is that the body is the temple of the Lord and we want to decorate it. Second is just by wearing a tilak or seeing a tilak of a devotee, we remember Krishna. Anyone who sees tilak, that means he remembers Krishna. And third is that this tilak represents actually the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Tulsi is there, just remembering the lotus feet of the Lord and the great devotee of Tulsi. And in fact, when we apply tilak and other things, we chant the mantras. These mantras are also for the protection of the body. So this is the significance of wearing the tilak.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
And
you.
the Ekadashi which we had 2 days ago, Amalaka, that is
Yeah.
for Amla Peड़, right? The Amla tree.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
so can you tell me, if you don't mind, the significance of Amla in Lord Krishna's life?
Um, it's a very important tree. I have not read about that story, which is based on the Amalaka Ekadashi, but it's very auspicious. These trees have been very dear to Krishna. That's what I can tell you right now. I exactly don't know the story which is connected to this fast, and they are like, all 24 Ekadashis, they have a very significant story which is written in one of the books, but I have not gone through those stories. But it's very auspicious to worship Amla tree that day. Last year when I was in Mayapur, I was there during this time, so I happened to see that the devotees were worshipping the tree, Amla tree, with Tulsi Maharani, and they were like, doing aarti, and they were circumambulating the deity, the tree with the Tulsi Maharani and worshipping them. So that is what I can tell you about this Amla Ki Ekadashi.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And
Thank you.
this tulsi beads cannot be worn for just beauty purposes, like people do wear them sometimes, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be wear for beauty purposes. It is meant for, it is very auspicious actually to wear the tulsi leaves. So we wear the tulsi neck beads, and it's very auspicious, but not as a beauty thing that we want to decorate ourselves. This represents like a collar, like a dog is having his you know collar, and like he's the servant of. So our tulsi beads also represent that we are the servant of the Supreme Lord actually. So Tulsi is very dear to Krishna, and we are wearing which is very dear to Krishna. And as soon as we see, by taking bath, it's very auspicious, very purifying to take bath with Tulsi water. Actually, the beads which are the water which is washing the Tulsi beads. So that's why it's very auspicious actually to wear Tulsi beads. It's not like a fashion. That if we have that mode, then it's very very inappropriate. Sometimes we wear very fashionable beads and other things like that, just to show the people around that have some nice beads from Radha Kund or something like that. But it's not required actually. Ours is wearing simple tulsi beads and making it very auspicious for us to take bath with every day when we take bath it's very very auspicious that our body is getting the special remnants water from tulsi beads. Wearing these beads actually one if someone dies, he will never, the Yamraj or Yamduts will never come and catch him. So this is one assurance what Shri no, nectar of devotion gives, that anyone who is wearing this tulsi beads is very very auspicious, because the Yamduts will never come to a person because because this represents that he is a devotee of Krishna. So for a devotee of Krishna, he will not be touched by any Yamdut. So wearing tulsi beads is very very auspicious. But for wearing tulsi beads, one has to follow the four regulative principles: no eating, no eating of onion, garlic, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and then one should be chanting the holy name of the Lord. If he's getting fixed in this one, then he should wear the tulsi beads.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Padmani Radhika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Tandar Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. I have a very practical question because this has happened in my life before. Um, so, one time we were supposed to go to a Namahatta session, and my husband was supposed to be doing a service of engaging kids in the program when
Mm.
Prabhuji's give lecture, right?
Mm.
So that program was going to be after there was a previous event before us all going to the Namahatta, which was a birthday party for my son's friend. So my Prabhuji wore Vaishnava attire and was taking my son to the birthday party.
Mm.
And he was meeting all of these people for the first time. And my immediate reaction was like, why are you wearing Vaishnava attire for a birthday party? And he's like, I don't have time to change to go to Namahat after that. So you guys be ready. After the birthday party, I'll come pick you up and I'll go. And I was very upset when he said that. And he's like, why do you always hold me back when I'm wearing Vaishnava attire and going to places? And I'm like, I don't understand. You're meeting all these people for the first time. Why do you want to give them an impression of you being a devotee? Or so I am still not able to identify why I was holding back, to be very honest with you. I don't know if it was some insecurity that I still continue to have. um, and I was trying to understand where is this coming from in my mind. So I actually immediately called my Shiksha Guru. He's who's local, and she started laughing and she's like, "No, no, it's a very practical question." But honestly, if I understand your reservations because you care because he's meeting all these people for the first time. So it's like the first impression that you're creating. But I guess my reasoning is like, why wear Vaishnava attire to a place where you're not going to see devotees, right? And so I was telling my husband, isn't it an offense to the attire when you just do this? And he was coming from a perspective of, and we still talk about it every so often, because he tells me, and I do that myself too. I have walked in running errands. I have gone to grocery stores wearing the tilak and the Vaishnava attire, and I'm fine with that because it's just a quick pit stop. But this was a different situation. And so I was giving him an example of how Prabhupada always talks about time, place, and circumstance. I don't think this is the right circumstance. You can go quickly, either drop him and come back home, uh, or you make time for yourself to change back to Vaishnava attire. And he's like, I will not have time, I know that. So I guess my question to you, Prabhuji, is it appropriate for me to think in a way that by giving a glimpse of your Vaishnav attire to karmis or people who have no idea about Krishna consciousness, is it an offense to the to the holy name, or is it an offense on our part? And the second part of it is, or should I be thinking from the perspective of, because I know in Prabhupada's lectures, I guess he said that, when people see you in Vaishnava attire wearing tilak, they are reminded of their position in Vaikunt. So there is also a reason why you are supposed to wear a tilak and neck beads and a Vaishnava attire. So it gives an opportunity to someone to actually remember where they came from. So I just wanted to understand what you think about this, Prabhu.
Yeah, so this is a very practical question what you have asked. It's like sometimes very challenging to understand, where exactly we apply this principle of time, place, circumstances. Like, in which situation we are supposed to represent ourselves as Vaishnavas, and in which situation we are not supposed to be like that. I remember, when uh, this journey home was launched by Radhanath Maharaj in Chopati in Mumbai. So, during his event of book launch, one of the great devotees who was present there was Krishna Chandra Prabhu. Krishna Chandra Prabhu, when he wanted to come as a person to represent that, he's been the guest to be he's been the guest to come as a book launch person. So when he wanted to come, he did not come in Vaishnava attire, because a lot of people outside were coming. And even Maharaj was coming and everyone was coming. Few devotees were coming, and the book launch was about to take place. But he wanted to represent as a businessman. He was a very big business icon, so he came in proper suit, proper suit, and then he came. He represented that he's a person from outside who has come for the book launch, and that event became very successful. And this example was told by Radhanath Maharaj in one of the talks, that it's very intelligent to understand when we are representing outside as an outside person, how much impact we are making it on the people by representing outside. See, where my post and position is utilized, I represent accordingly. Now, if I'm going outside for a birthday party, or meeting some of my friends or someone like that, what will be the impact? Are they Indians? Are they Western people? If they see me with a Western clothes, or normal clothes, then I can become more friendly to them. In fact, I can give you one more example. Like, sometimes when we go out for book distribution, as a wearing saffron clothes and other things. When we go to universities, it's little challenging for students to come and take books. And immediately, I've sensed this thing. We can easily sense this thing. But then immediately, I've seen one of the devotees. What he had done is he just wore a saffron t-shirt and just wore one trouser and a cap, and then he was doing books like anything. So it can be both ways. It can be like very useful. Then people were coming, meeting him very normally, and then thinking that it's just spiritual books what they are doing. But the impact what he was making was very different, and the impact what we were making is different. So it's the it we need to understand that when we go out and do books, or when we go out and do when we are going for book distribution, it's very approachable for people outside to come and take books. Or if you are representing tilak, wearing tilak and other things like that, then it's like really understand that this is not like meant for me to go out and do this thing. So sometimes it's like very challenging. That's why it's like we always need to be so mature enough to understand which situation we are. If you're going to a temple, it's very important. When we're doing spiritual activities, it's very important that we have Vaishnava attire. But when we are representing it outside, how much are we making an impact? That we should understand. If we are making an impact in a wrong way, that people are little, not coming and meeting also, not coming and speaking also, then it's like something which is not appropriate actually. If they are coming and meeting, if they are able to understand that, okay, what you're wearing is very good, and still you are able to come and gel with them, then that's very good. Then they understand that, yeah, first impression is only that I'm devotee. And then you are like so safe actually that it's so good. In office, we cannot go wear tilak and go. If in fact, we can wear tilak and go also. It's not right. It's all matter of your practice. If you are very strict in your practices, and if you want to represent as a devotee, and if you do that, then there is no problem. But if you don't do that, if you want to just follow sometimes and not sometimes, then it's a very challenging thing. And
Right.
anytime, if you do that, then it's very easy actually. If you do every day, that every day you wear tilak and go, then people outside also will understand, oh, he's a devotee of the Lord, he's that. But if you just wear occasionally, sometimes here and there, and then you go and see them or meet them, then it's very very difficult for people to judge outside. So we are
Yeah.
giving the judgmental thing to outside. So it's all upon our representation. As a devotee, as a sadhu, as a monk, actually, I have to wear definitely all my Vaishnava attire, wear tilak and everything, and represent properly. But for a
Right.
grahastha, he has to be very carefully where he's representing, what is he doing, what will be the impact of his wearing at Vaishnava attire. It should be considered a little bit before doing that thing.
Sure.
And it all comes by little bit of discussion, little bit of understanding, that what I'm doing. And if your Prabhu is ready to represent as a devotee, then we should really support him. That, oh yes, you're representing as a devotee. That's it. If you are
Yeah.
so you have so much faith about representing as a devotee, then I have no problem actually. And in fact, by representing of yourself as a devotee, then people will definitely accept it. Only thing it has to be done steadily. It has to be done properly, and the impact you have to check how it is there. What happened now? My question is, what happened to that event of
So
birthday
I
party?
actually wanted to tell you that also. So one thing I missed telling you was, so when I was talking to my Shiksha Guru, she gave me a very brilliant piece of advice. She said, "Ask your son how he feels. Is he
Hmm.
okay being represented as a son of a devotee? Because he is going to be introducing his father to all his
Hmm.
friends for the first time too, right? He should
Hmm.
not feel awkward at all because
Yeah.
you want to make him into a devotee. So if
Yes.
he is feeling awkward, ask Adi Govind to change immediately.
Hmm.
And so I don't know, when Prabhuji left, I don't think he checked with my son Parth. So I was texting him constantly. Did you ask him? Make sure, this is what Indulekha Mataji told me.
Hmm.
Make sure he's comfortable. And everything happened. And I also calmed down. Um, and then when he came back, he was like, it was wonderful. People just asked me, which temple do you go? And then they were interested in coming to a temple. They were asking me, is there a congregation? And so everything was very, very well received. Um, so I was then opening up my heart to him. I'm like, I don't know if it is my insecurity, or maybe I am envious of you that you can carry it out so well without thinking so much. And he's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think about it so much. I just
Okay.
thought that because he was going to take up a service of teaching kids. He wanted to make sure that he is in the proper attire for the next event,
Yeah,
and so he
that's no
said it
problem.
was time efficiency wise, it was the most practical thing I could do. So I did not think about what people will think about me,
Yes.
and I told him that time, maybe I don't know, maybe it's coming from a place of envy. Then I don't, I'm still not able to identify Prabhu. Why was I giving him?
No, it's just about, you had a concern, you had like concern for what will happen to Parth and, your son, right, Parth. and the friends around, or to his parents, so it was proper in one way, and you took proper advice and you have implemented it properly. So one thing is, if we are representing as a devotee, we represent with full confidence. We are not half-hearted. And if your Prabhu was representing it so properly and things went so properly, then it's so good. Sometimes wearing this attire also, like recently I was just coming in the subway from Washington Square Park after Harinam. Then, seeing our attire, the people who were sitting on the other side of the subway on the bench, they were telling, oh, he's a monk. Because we were in the monk, and then it's like a great responsibility on us also, that we represent as a monk. Or if he is wearing proper dhoti kurta and other things, then we have to represent also. We cannot have like wearing a dress of monk and having a cool drink in the hand or something like that. We are not totally, it's like not proper in one way. So we don't do any things which is not properly done, or properly not done by a devotee when we are in public opinion. If you are wearing that thing, then we have to make sure that we are sticking to the proper standards. So one should do that. And it's a very sensitive thing, about how we represent ourselves in the public. It's like very important, and every devotee should understand this thing and represent it properly. So one should not become an object of criticism also, because of what will happen is, ours is a preaching movement. We want people to come closer. As soon as they get connected to us, we don't want to give a wrong representative or wrong vibration about us, that we are only very, very selective about our things. And then we cannot make them come closer to Krishna, or give any form of Krishna to them. We cannot give them books, or any prasad or anything like that. So this has to be taken in consideration whenever we are in public also. And if we do it very properly, it's a very wonderful service actually.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
I think now
Krishna,
it's
Prabhuji.
8:20.
Thank you so much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, for your wonderful class. And I would like to share one experience very quickly, that when we were new in Krishna consciousness and putting tilak, so my Prabhuji asked our Shiksha Guru, Vrindavati Prabhu, that what about going office? And he said, you can put water tilak so that you can also
Yes,
be satisfied.
that's always very good actually. When we are going out, and if we are not so confident enough to wear tilak, wear a water tilak. This was advised by us also. Means we also advise the students that only, that you wear water tilak anytime and every time whenever you are not able to represent.
Yes, Prabhuji. That we do always. And usually I put the very light tilak, the not water tilak, but the actual tilak very lightly whenever I go out. So yeah, so that attracts people also. Okay, like
Yes.
what is this, or like that, how Gita Mataji asked, like that. So yeah, both ways very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time, Prabhuji. I know you are busy in the temple, but
Now
still your
actually
time.
Jayadatt Maharaj is giving Bhagavatam class, and I should rush immediately.
Yes,
So
Prabhuji. Thank you.
thank you. Hare
Panchakal
Krishna.
Pavitra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
I have one question, Hare Krishna.
Actually,
That is in the spirit of the verse that we are carrying to the tilak, the spirit of the verse is saying that we should not be bothered. So yes, I mean tilak marks that Paramatma is there, Krishna is there with me, and the body is living. The tilak means the no tilak means it's a dead body. So why should we? And if we think too much about what others think, our consciousness will be polluted. So like already we are in the middle of Maya, and we are still getting embroiled more in Maya. Of course, I understand that we know our faith has to be strong, but if our faith is strong, why shouldn't we wear it? So
Prabhuji, if your faith is strong, then definitely you can wear it. You should represent it by practicing very nicely, and you should not be worried about that thing. But it's very important. We should understand, if our faith is not strong of what we are representing, then it's very, very challenging. People will start questioning anything and everything we do. Oh, as a devotee, you do like this? Then it's like very challenging. Then we are putting the question mark on their faith in Krishna. So we don't want to represent very inappropriately. That is a challenge amongst when we are going in public, or when we are going outside actually. So if we are representing, then you should represent with full faith. That's what I'm telling. We should increase our faith in such a way that we should be able to represent whatever we are doing to the outside public also. So that is important, that we have that much faith. And one is able to have that faith, then he should definitely do that. wearing dhoti kurta and going out wherever it is required, and wearing tilak and, wearing kantimala and everything like that. So it's required. It's always required.
Yeah, I mean, see here in NYC area, so there are so many Jews. They wear the skull cap. That is the identity. So this is our identity. I mean,
Yes.
why should we fight shy of wearing tilak? Even
We
if
should, one should not shy, but it should be very properly represented, Broji. Your point is correct. I totally agree. We should never shy from wearing a tilak. But the thing is, we should represent properly. That is the biggest thing. If you are wearing a tilak, then we should not be making different anything which is misrepresenting a devotee.
yes, it's good. I mean, yeah, the Jew community is more quite very heavy in the New York City area, but yes, our community is smaller. Yes, so the responsibility is even is more on us to properly represent it. That is correct. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Partha Prabhu, you continue if you are not finished. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji, for this class and
No, I'm
discussion.
just trying to second what Prabhuji said just now, and it was really useful for everyone. Um, yeah, and Padmini Nada Mataji also asked about the question, uh, time and circumstance. Yes, that is really applicable. And Shamarasika, my wife, told recently, like, in the beginning, yes, I was trying to, get all the devotional practices. So that time was my water tilak. But now, like after maybe 20 years, I'm saying that I go with the tilak in my office. So
Yes.
now it has changed. The perspective was that, and now I have a shikha also. So I'm reporting to a vice president. So he goes, I sit, and his office is just adjacent to my office, like he sees my shika is well grown, so I don't mind now. So that is the like how we can say it is a time and circumstance situation. And also I remember probably like during the New Vrindavan services, I used to do some services, sevas for New Vrindavan, driving from literally West Virginia to Florida to Chicago. It was a long travel, and then we used to go for some programs, and then I used to drive the you know sometimes Maharaj sannyasis, like brahmacharis and our temple devotees. So in that thing, like dhoti, while driving, dhoti was little in uncomfortable. So wearing a at least yogi pant, like that was uh, as per the time situation, we used to do. But once we go there, then just take a shower and get yourself changed with the Vaishnava.
Yes.
So these are the practical things. It's good.
Mhm.
Padmini Radha Mataji asked about this question. So it is really you know uh, making sense for our daily practices.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, if we do it immaturely, then we make a wrong impact. But if we do it very maturely and over a steady period of time, if we do it consistently, then the impact is very strong. Then everyone understand that, oh, he's a devotee. So it has to be done. It has to be done very maturely, very properly according to the time, place, circumstances, with consideration of our faith and our representing ISKCON and our representing Srila Prabhupada. So if that is done, it's always required that we do it properly.
Yes, probably. And even my Kantimala is little bigger. My
Yeah, yeah.
Mala
So it's
Mahimala,
visible. Everyone knows that you are wearing kantimala, you're wearing tilak, you're wearing dhoti kurta.
it's
So
visible.
whenever it's appropriate, you should do it. Like
Yes.
I was telling at the same example, we were doing books at university, the books weren't going. And the other devotee, when
Yeah.
he came, when he did other way around, the books were going like anything. So we
Yes.
could understand the impact was little different. So proper told, wherever, whichever place you are able to do it in a right way, in a right consciousness, then it's very, very appropriate. Don't like misjudge or misrepresent something where people are going away from Krishna rather than bringing them closer to Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. And I second your you mentioned about one of the book launch. I remember when I visited to, even this Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Maharaj came for book launch. I remember it was long time back. So, everyone who represented from our ISKCON, Maharaj was in monk.
Mm.
Maharaj is already in that.
Yes.
But, all our god brothers were in suit, they were proper blazer,
Yes.
yeah, that was the representation because there was
Correct. Correct.
American people, they have visited that
Mm.
book launch. And, but, if you, even that time, I had to, drive. Uh, from Columbus to West Virginia, then from Ohio to like lot of driving and drive this Mayapuri Kirtaniyas, right? Vishwambar group,
Mm.
that group.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Correct.
group was there, and I had to drive them to that event because that was the main event, like Kirtan event in the book launch. So I then, I had to lift lot of things, then I was on my trouser, and I did not get a chance to even change myself. But then I had to meet I got Maharaj blessing in that attire only. But that was the time and circumstance situation. I mentioned to the president, like I could not help myself, So, but
Mm.
he says service is important, So
Yes.
these are all, practical things. But thank you for, reviving all. It gives such a immense understanding, I can say, from your class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. You like
Hare Krishna.
become.
Hare
Uh,
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
I know you have to go, so sorry, more
Yes.
devotees. There is Jayadvaita Maharaj is from came
He's
from
leaving actually,
India.
and I'm supposed to go and hear him rather than speak now. I
Sorry,
thought I'll end by
Prabhuji.
8 o'clock, but our discussions went little longer.
Yes, sorry,
Only I
Prabhuji.
Okay.
remember Jayadvath Maharaj, I think visited our home maybe 2 or 3 years back. So
Yeah.
please give my Dandavas. I'm Nikunja Rasadas. So my
Okay.
Shamarasika Devidas is Dandavat Singh. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'll definitely.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Let's
Hare
obsess
Krishna.
to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarvesha kripa sindhu vaibhacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय।
जय
आचार्य शैलदास ठाकुर की जय।
जय
की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
जय
अल प्राण प्रभु की जय। थैंक
जय
यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल
Hari Bol.